Hello parents, my name is Jay Steinberg. I'm your student's Algebra 1 teacher. Welcome to Back to School Night. Let's go inside the school building. I created this virtual classroom for Back to School Night to share with you all the information I needed to share. Please forgive me if I speak quickly. There's a lot to cover. Up on the board, you'll see some of the topics that we're studying this year. We studied already linear functions. Pretty soon we'll get into how to solve a system of linear functions. And we'll connect that to the real world. We'll learn about exponential growth, exponential decay. We'll learn about square root functions, quadratic functions. We'll be making graphs of things that we've never graphed before. A lot of algebra has real life connections and real world implications. We'll start with word problems, and we'll try to abstract something in the concrete world all the way down to the language of algebra, solve it, and then take our solution and for our abstract problem or abstract equations and bring it back to what does it mean in the real world. We're going to take a look at the book that's leaning on this desk. This is the version of our book. It's Pearson Algebra 1. At the beginning of the year, students were asked to access this through their class link in their Chrome browser. So our students are able to find all the resources that are in there. It has textbook pages, other online practice. It has tutorial videos. Students can request a paper or physical copy of this, but chances are we will, and even if I lend out a book, chances are we won't use it at home and the book can stay at home. The curriculum is linked to our New Jersey standards. I use this book to help plan what we're doing in the sequence of what we're learning about. So that's Algebra 1. Let's take a look at this that I have clipped to the board. This is the course sequence. Most of the parents here are parents of a 9th grade student. So instead of Algebra B, it's called Algebra 1. We're going to start 9th grade Algebra 1 sophomore year. We're going to move into geometry. So you'll take a full year geometry course. Their asterisk there means that there's an honors course available for students if they have and maintain a high enough grade point average. Then junior year, they get to do Algebra 2, which means senior year, they move on to pre-calculus. Students need 3 years of a math for a requirement for graduation. I encourage all students to take 4 years of math because math is critical and important. Let's talk about what parents really want to know. What are the grades based off of? I have 2 categories for grades: assessments and practice. They are weighted. That 90% of the grade is based on your tests, your students' tests, quizzes, other graded assignments that are graded based on accuracy. The other 10%, the last final 10%, is practice, which we call homework, other assignments. That's graded based on completion, that it's met the expectations, it's turned in before the due date. If for some reason it's half done, it doesn't meet the expectations, students will earn half credit. And if it's late or not complete before the due date, it is a 0. I do not allow students to create more work for themselves than is necessary. If they miss a homework assignment, it's a 0. I do want them to practice, but I will not give them credit if it is late. Those are nightly homeworks are usually worth 2 points a night. And so it's like a 2-1-0 grading scale. At the bottom, you'll also find the second chance learning policy. Students are allowed to take 1 test or 1 quiz each marking period as a do-over. Each department's second chance learning policy is different. This is the math department's. The students must have met all of these criteria in order to be allowed a second chance learning opportunity. And certain things are not allowed for second chance learning opportunity, like quarterly exams, midterm exams, any exam at the end of a marking period within like 5 days of the end. The math department is unique. We average the 2 grades. So the first original grade and the second chance, they get added together, divided by 2, and that's what's going to change in the grade book. It's not just a total replacement, so please be aware of that. More of this information is found online in our second chance learning policy in the math department website. Okay, what's next? After this, we'll talk a little bit about homework because it was part of our grading policy that 10% is homework. This is the information related to that. I communicate the homework either in their weekly schedule. It's not really either or, it's really both. In their weekly schedule, but also through OnCourse, I'll create an assignment. Usually students will complete the assignment on paper, take a picture on their phone using this app called Cam Scanner. It's a free app. Usually it has ads for them to upgrade it, but everything we need to do is in the free part. So students can just close out the ad and continue to use it. They'll send it to me as an attachment so I can use the Kami software in OnCourse to mark it up, make some comments, send it back. When I make the comments, I give it credit. I grade it. It goes into their feed in OnCourse, which looks like something like this. Those are the things that are returned, the assignments that are returned recently, so that students should have an accurate understanding of where they are standing in their grades. Let's see, what's next? Let's talk about the backpack. What's in the backpack? All of our class materials. Pencils are great. Notebooks are great. I like to have students keep just a notebook just of math so that they're not looking over through homeworks from all different areas. A calculator. We just require to use a scientific calculator. These last three on the right, these are graphing calculators. They do more than we're going to use this year, although some students might like those. Really, the scientific TI-30 X2S is about $15 in a store, is going to be fine. We've also downloaded the Desmos online scientific calculator to some of the phones, but I can't allow students to use phones during assessments. So if they have a calculator, that's fine to use during assessments, but a phone would not be. I do have some loaners in the class. We do have sanitation wipes that will disinfect them in case students need to borrow them. 3-ring binders are great for keeping notes in order. We give a lot of packets. I've handed out some graph paper so students can make nice and neat organized graphs. We talked about the CAM scanner app in the previous slide. All right. One of the things that was listed in the materials was a Chromebook because we're doing most of our lessons through Zoom. I have the guidelines for my Zooms here on the left. There are 4. These are our norms for Zoom. I want students to be on time, which usually means to be early and in the waiting room before class begins. Be prepared with their materials, with their calculators, so they don't have to get up in the middle. I want them to be visible. A lot of the communication that we use in life is nonverbal. I want to make sure that they're doing okay, so I want to see their faces. And then students can ask a question in the chat or raise their hand virtually. I do record the Zoom meetings so that in case somebody is absent, they're able to follow along, or if somebody wants to come back to it and see the lesson a second time, they can review the information. All right, what's next? Oh, here's a loaner calculator right on the screen. The last thing I need to talk to you about is academic honesty. I want to make sure that students are making good decisions in the class. At no point in time should students take another student's work and hand it in. I don't want students to be in a bad position, so have a conversation with the students about being academically honest. I know that technology is a fantastic tool and resource, but they shouldn't be taking pictures of their work and sending it to somebody else, or vice versa, being on the receiving end of somebody else's homework. It matters to me. If there is an instance where students are making a poor choice, I will have to follow it up, and I will be asking and having a conversation with the parents and also the administration. That's pretty much all I need to talk to you about in my presentation. So we'll click on this payphone. If you have any other questions or concerns, this is my information here. You can email me, and that's my phone extension. At the very bottom, I also put the link for help desk at the high school. If students have an issue with a Chromebook or a Zoom, they can email the help desk and get that resolved in a timely fashion. Last thing is, if you have anything that you think of that might help me teach your student this year, if you want to send me that in an email, I will definitely take it. I would like to read it. Anything that you think would be a good piece of information for your teacher to know about your student that might help me teach them, feel free to write it in an email. Put a subject with your student's name in the top and your name. And why don't you say subject back to school, put your student's name and your name. And that wraps up my presentation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support at home. I appreciate it. I hope to meet you in person someday soon. Take good care. Have a good night.